You've seen me rank doggles, you've seen me rank Sams, you've seen me rank zombies, bobs, lords, treasure hunt skins, but have you wondered what my favourite skins ever are? Well, this video will be answering those questions. 25th place goes to Cardboard Machine. This is the only skin on the list that I wouldn't consider amazing, but it's still a very decent skin. It's unique, and if you ask me, is one of the few underpriced skins in Bear Alpha. Overall, a very good skin. In 24th place, we have Dutchman. While I think the price of 10k quids is a bit much, the skin is definitely worth it. I love the shades of green used, and the fact that the skin has a 3D ship in game is super cool. Unfortunately, the skin kind of lost what made it unique when other skins with vehicles came out, but regardless, Dutchman still does the vehicle trope the best. Next is Greedy. In my opinion, Egg Scrooger Tingley has the most unique style of skins in the game, with his own category of skins called Night Bears. Greedy is the weakest of the three in game, but it's still a very good skin. I like the yellow colour, it gives off cheese vibes, and the holes in the skin plus the mismatched arms give off alien vibes that I quite enjoy. Plus, it's the reward gotten for beating Vector, which I'd say is pretty good. Next is UFOB. Something you'll find out in the rankings is that Bob skins are probably my favourite category of skins, and UFOB is no exception. I've always really liked how complex the skin is, and interestingly enough, the skin is more complex here than it is in its Bear Star version, even though Bear Star is supposedly the more complex skin. Not much else to say, the skin isn't particularly interesting in Bear Alpha compared to Bear Star, but it's still a very solid skin. In 21st place, we have Bearty Amelia Rose. I think this is probably the most underpriced skin in Bear. For a skin this high quality and well made, it's only 300 quids. Anyways, the skin overall is still great. I think the reds and the blues look awesome together, and the shading especially makes the skin really stand out. Also, the 4 capital letters in the skin's name spell out bear, which is really clever, I must say. In 20th place, we have Parasite. I've said this before, but Parasite is probably the creepiest skin in Bear Alpha. It's just the context that makes it so alarming. And the skin itself looks cool too. I like how the bear isn't just default bear, there are some adjustments made to make it look more dead and hollow, even though the skin clearly isn't hollow judging by the monster inside it. Great skin, simple, but it works. Next is Celebration. I'm not sure if Celebration is unpopular or not, but I don't care. Sure, it doesn't fit the new style of Bear Alpha, but I just like it overall. It's a very simple drawn skin and has this cutesy style to it that I appreciate a lot. Good skin. Then next we have Inky Bear. Inky Bear is a good example of how to do a simple skin right. While I do think the skin is overpriced, 1,000 quids is more than enough, the skin looks cool. I don't really have much more elaboration as to why I like this skin, it's just a good skin. Next up we have Uncle Sam. Probably my second favourite Sam skin, and for good reason. This skin is popping with different colours. If you guys thought blue and red looks good on Bearty, then try Uncle Sam. Uncle Sam's got these striking shades of blue, white, and red, and the skin even has a whitey eagle. That's amazing! Plus the skin has fireworks in game, which again is also great. This skin in general goes absolutely overkill with the presentation, and you can't help but love it for that. And then next we have, according to its Bear Star description, everyone's favourite, that being Rob. Rob is probably the most popular Bob skin, and I can't blame people for thinking that. The skin's got this shining pink colour that I think looks great. And also, I love the contrast between this and Bob. Bob is meant to be creepy, it's meant to be something you don't expect for how odd it is. Rob, however, is the complete opposite, opting for a more normal vibe. Best way to word it, I guess. But my favourite thing about the skin is the journey to grind for it. Back in 2020, I remember seeing the skin in the shop and immediately wanting it. So I spent ages, hours, days, grinding for this skin. I didn't have any 2x quids game passes, it was just me and my skills that got me to buying the skin. And when I got it, it was awesome. Overall, great skin, and definitely worth the price. Next, we have the most recent skin that made it onto this list, that being Sugar Cookie. In my opinion, Sugar Cookie is adorable. It would probably make the top 5 for the top 5 cutest bear skins in the game. This skin is very similar to Gingerbread, but I'd argue it's even better, making it the superior cookie. 4th Anniversary is my favourite of the anniversary bears. Sure, it has a bit of a cluttered design, but I think that's what it's meant to be. A massive conglomeration of all sorts of things from bears past, and it really works. Doing all that in a glitchy fashion works well too. The skin is definitely worth the price. In 13th place, we have what is possibly the biggest glow-up a skin has gotten in a remake, that being Frozen Santa. Frozen Santa used to be a pretty lazy skin, basically just Lil Santa Sam but in ice. But instead, what the remake did was turn it into a Frozen King. I love the shades of blue used, especially on the cape. This skin is faithful and reimagines the skin in such a creative way that I adore. And then we have another skin that I would consider eye candy, that being Tropic Surfer. Some would call this skin overpriced, but I don't think it is. I love the shades of yellow and pink and magenta. It's all mixed together in a really natural way. It's almost like the sun setting, although when the sun sets it's more of an orange color, and it looks awesome. Now we have our first Lord skin on the list. As 11th place, just barely missing out in the top 10, is Galaxy Lord. Just like Tropic Surfer, this skin is eye candy. The shades of blue, pink, yellow, and purple are mixed together amazingly. And the fact that they added planets from the solar system as the orbs is wonderfully creative. This skin is creative and looks good, and the fact that it misses out on the top 10 just goes to show how good some of these skins get. Speaking of, we've entered the top 10. These are, as of early 2025, my top 10 favorite bear skins ever. So, let's get into number 10. In 10th place, we have Syncob. Syncob's always been a really funny skin to me. It's got this intense face, and for no apparent reason, the skin also has a random taco PNG behind its back. Plus, the color is orange, which orange has always been a color I've liked a lot. I've always been a fan of more goofy skins, and thankfully, this skin does that very well. Then in 9th place, we have Angelic. Honestly, Angelic I'd say is worth the 44,000 quids. Sure, it's expensive, but my gosh is the skin high quality. It's just veiled in this mystery, and like Unwell Vector has these weird lights for eyes. Then the veil disappears and the skin starts flying. The skin has this majestic vibe to it that I think works as an angel bear skin. It's great. Then in 8th place, we have Ito. I have a confession, I don't actually own the skin Ito, but just looking at it, I can tell I'd love the skin if I had it. It's one of the creepiest skins in Bear, and although it doesn't look like it's in pain, it still has this intimidating vibe to it. Then, the skin goes on all fours and suddenly looks a lot more angry than before. Plus, the quest for it looks really cool. Overall, a great and unique skin, and the closest thing we have to a zombie bear, might I add. In 6th place, we have Boo. Now, I have a bit of a story behind this one. Back in October of 2020, I remember seeing the skin in the shop and being like, hey, this is cheap enough, I'll get it, as at the time I was new to Bear Star. Eventually, I got the skin, and it became my favourite skin in Bear Star. There were other skins that I'd say did become my favourite, like Trob, but then eventually Boo got ruined by this terrible remake. My gosh, do you ever hear of don't fix what isn't broken? Well, this skin is a perfect example of why you shouldn't fix what isn't broken. Anyways, sometime after that, a Bear Alpha Halloween update released, and they added Boo to Bear Alpha, and I was overjoyed. Seeing one of my favourite skins from Bear Star get added to Bear Alpha meant that this was obviously going to be one of my favourite skins in Bear Alpha. In 6th place, we have Zob. Honestly, I think Zob has got to be the funniest skin in Bear Alpha history. It's just ridiculous. They got a face of Michael Jackson and turned it into a bear skin, all while giving it this stony texture for no reason other than they can. That is what this skin is. It exists because the bear developers knew they could make it exist. And I love it. It's hilarious, it's stupid, and I love hilarious and stupid skins. You'll see that as we enter the top 5. And just like Aito, I don't have this skin, but just looking at it, I know I would. Here's hoping the skin will get added for the 6th anniversary of Bear Alpha for the Bob election. Let's not end up like what happened with last year. And now we have entered the top 5 best Bear Alpha skins in my opinion. So, let's start off with number 5. Mummy. This will definitely surprise a lot of you. Some of you may not even know this skin exists, but in my opinion, it's a great skin. When I used it in game, I was surprised by how much I liked it, and it's hard to explain why. I just like this skin a lot. Perhaps the texture of the bandages just looks good to me, but this to me is just a good example of a skin that doesn't have any flaws. I can try and look for something wrong with this skin, but I'll come out empty-handed because, really, while the skin isn't absolutely perfect, there isn't anything wrong with it either. In fact, the skin was going to be 4th place, but that spot was taken by Cake Lord. I have grown to love this skin more and more as the years have gone by. Starting on the 4th anniversary, this skin immediately stood out to me. The red, the white, the added additions of strawberries, sparklers, and cake that circles around the skin. There's so much going on in the skin, but it all feels collected, in a way. Then as the years went by, I slowly started to realize, yeah, this is an amazing skin. The price of 4,444 quids is absolutely worth it. In fact, I'd argue it could be more than that and I wouldn't be fazed. It goes to show just how good of a skin this is. And despite that, this skin still didn't crack the top 3. The top 3 are skins that have been here ever since 2021. So, let's talk about them. 3rd place goes to Vector. If I had to pick between the Alpha and Deluxe Vector, I'd go for the Alpha version since that one has orbs. Anyways, Vector is an awesome skin. It was the first secret skin I got in the game, and to be fair, when I played the game back in 2020, it was one of the only secret skins in the game, aside from Unwell and Molebear, but a skin's a skin. The skin is very unique, with 4 arms, random black orbs, and 10 red eyes too that contrast brilliantly with the black. And on top of that, the skin has a boss fight. When do bear skins get boss fights? The boss fight for Vector is one of the best ones in the franchise, to be honest. It's got so many unique attacks, and the context behind it especially is awesome. This skin that was given to you is now fighting against you. It's awesome. This skin is awesome, but not as awesome as Unwell. This skin has what makes Vector great, but is done slightly more well. First up, I'd consider the skin a bit more unique. And I like how instead of the skin being entirely black with a bit of red on the eyes, the skin is blackish red with red eyes. It gives the skin more of a dramatic, dangerous vibe. On top of that, the skin has some random dots and blobs around the skin's, well, skin, and it even has a second head, which is awesome. Plus, the lore around the skin is cool. Basically, Sam went into the SOS, aka Suboptimal Station, and found Unwell. Unwell told Sam that to leave, Unwell would have to take Sam's body temporarily, but then, Unwell killed every person within the submarine, to Whitey's horror. It's a really interesting way to convey a character's, well, character, and I appreciate it a lot. Plus, Unwell as a skin is awesome too. I love the voice lines, especially the one that says, "I'll replace the cheese with your souls," which, sure edgy, but it's still cool nonetheless. Unwell being in 2nd place out of 200 skins goes to show just how good and near flawless it is. and yet it still misses out on number 1. I think you all know what skin gets first place as the number 1 best Bear Alpha skin ever created, in my personal opinion, is Bog. Ever since late 2020, I have adored this thing. It is hilarious. Probably the second funniest skin in Bear Alpha behind Zob. But how did I grow to like it as much as I do, you may be asking? Well, back then, I had no experience with Bear whatsoever. It was early 2020, and all my experience with the game came from watching YouTubers play it, such as Kindly Kian. And then, one day I decided to download Roblox in September of 2020 and play Bear Alpha for the first time. Bear Alpha was the first game I played, and I was surprised when I noticed some of the Bob skins were missing. I thought they were permanent skins, but nope. At the time, the only Bob skins I could see were Bob, Yob, and Bog. It was a pleasant surprise seeing Bog of all Bob skins, but I didn't really think of the skin as anything special. I was intrigued though. I noticed the skin in its icon lacked legs, and it made me wonder if the skin rolled around. But then when I first bought the skin and used it, I was surprised to find that the skin just had 2 legs that it walked around with. It was hilarious, and looking this creature in the face reminds me of why I love it in the first place. It is ridiculous and goofiness incarnate, and I love that in bear skins. Bear skins that take away the scary trope and try and be absolutely silly despite being in a horror game are skins that I adore, and Bog is a good example of that. It is not objectively the best bear skin, but my gosh, it is my favorite. And that, my friends, is the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. This video took me a lot longer to make than most of my videos, but if you did enjoy, why not like and subscribe? It helps my channel out a lot, and I recently hit 1.8k. Can I get 2k? Probably. Anyways, that's the end of the video. Goodbye.
LOL.